Hello and welcome to a new Shelly Loves to Paint. I'm Shelly James and I'm so happy you're here with me today. In today's lesson, we're going to start a new fun project. This is a haunted Halloween design. So in this part one of this lesson, we're going to be creating the actual building, the background, the moon, everything that we are then going to later decorate in part two. So make sure you come back and watch part two to complete this fun lesson. I'm excited to get started on this, so let's get going. So today we are going to be creating this fun haunted house design. All right, so as always, you can get the pattern for this on my YouTube channel here under the comments. It's pinned to the top. There is a link where you can download the 8x10 pattern for this house. And then you can do this house any way you want to. To me, it looks like a sweet little cottage, but we're going to spook it up and make it look fun for Halloween by adding some jack-o'-lanterns and some bats and things like that. You know, nothing horrible or terrible, but just have fun with it. So again, 8x10 pattern can be printed and then transferred. This is a 12x12 wrapped canvas. And so it kind of fits right centered on here. And then just come maybe up an inch, you know, line up at the top, and then I think you should be fine. Okay. So to start with, we're going to do, as in always in a landscape, we start from the back and work our way forward. And so I'm working with Plaid FolkArt multi-surface and matte acrylic paints today. These are what the bottles look like. It's a satin finish for the multi-surface. Has a self-sealer in it. It's great for all surfaces. And then the matte seal or the matte finish one is a standard acrylic. It's a premium acrylic by Plaid, but it has a matte finish, but it works just fine for the intention of this design. Okay, so they play nice together in the same sandbox. All right, so first thing I want to do, as always, we're going to start from the back, work our way forward. So we want to put in our sky, and I've got a pretty kind of ombre looking sky that I want to put in. It's shades of blue. And so I'm working with, as my core blue, I've got what's called Indigo Night. I have a 3/4 inch mop here, and I'm going to load this with just a little bit. It's dry, so I'm going to load a little bit of medium just to help the paint move with me. And then I'm going to go into this Indigo Night. All right, and we're going to start from our top and work our way down. And as I work down around the shape of this, I'm going to add some white in there so that it will deepen, or excuse me, lighten the sky as it comes closer to our ground here. Okay, so we're going to come right in here with this blue. All right, a little heavier. I want a little bit darker. There we go. The medium helps it move, but I need to keep the dark deepness of the color. All right, so make sure you get your edges. And this is a whimsical design, so it's almost okay, I would say it is okay, to have oopses and not perfect painting, right? We're not going for perfect. Usually, most of the time, we're not going for perfect. But we're not making the, you know, all the angles perfect or all the lines perfect or anything like that. We're just going for fun and for the effect. Have a good time with it. So we're going to come right in here around our moon. Okay, so we've got an oversized moon back here. Obviously, that's whimsical. And we're going to come right in. And you know what? It's perfectly fine, as a matter of fact, to go right over the edge of that castle top because we're going to make it darker. A little bit of medium again. And we're going to come around this side and get this background in real quick so we can have fun with all our spooky house designs. Okay. This edge of the canvas. You want to move kind of quick because it starts to dry on you. So if you don't want to be lifting that wet paint back up off the canvas, you have to keep it moving. Okay, now I'm going to continue with this color but we're going to add a little bit of white. So let's come around the edge of this building right here. Again, it's okay on the building if you go over the edge. Medium, and again, this is Indigo Night. Just get the edges there. All right, so now what I want to do, once we've got everything kind of edged in, and I don't have to worry too much about down here because we're going to put shrubs and things in. But now what I want to do is let's grab some white and work this in with that blue. So we get a little bit lighter shade. This is nighttime for this design, but I want it to be kind of like a twilight nighttime, not super dark yet. All right, let's get a little more white worked in there because that's still not quite as light as I want it to be. Because we want the trees that we put in the foreground and other little things that we're going to add to show up. So we need a little bit lighter background. I don't want it super dark. So you're just kind of bringing that up into this darker top. So hopefully that's coming through. It's not a huge transition between light and dark, but just enough. Right, and then over here, we'll come along our ground horizon. Get that side. And then we're making kind of a circular sweeping motion as it goes around this moon, right, on purpose. So like right here is a little too stark, and you're seeing that underpainting that I did there a little bit, but a little more white. All right, and you could do it with the sponge. You could use a sponge with this if you wanted to, but I like a little more control with my mop, because then I can do these pretty blends a little easier. But you do what works best for you. I'm coming back in with some of this Indigo Night again and darkening up with a second coat. It's coming in a little darker, which is what I wanted. There we go. And then pulling that into the lighter that I had put on. A little more of that dark. There, around the moon, and just keeping that kind of circular motion around there. Okay, so far that's looking pretty good. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and wash this brush out. And we can switch to a 3/4 inch flat to do our ground, and then a 16 to do our moon. Okay, so 3/4 inch flat, go ahead and get that damp, lay it on paper towel, and we're going to get some medium, a little bit of medium, floating medium, and burnt umber to start. Okay, so with this burnt umber, I want to add a little dark to it too. So that in the background here, it's a little bit darker. So I'm just going to side stroke a little bit of licorice right here. Okay. And we can turn so we can get it straight on. We can come right up here. Get that horizon. Again, doesn't have to be all that perfect, especially in a whimsical. So I'm going to buck the system here and add a little bit of bumpiness to that. right? Then we've got a place to stick our wobbly gate and fence that we're going to put in there. And let's come over here. And we'll just do the same thing. Let's come up a little higher and bring that down. So it'll look like it's on a little bit of an uphill. There we go. All right, and then just keep picking up now the burnt umber. Come around the base of the house. And work in that color in the foreground. Get this side here. And leave this kind of loose, right? So you're just kind of sweeping and slip slapping with some texture left behind from the brush, and leave it that way. We'll come over here and do the same. Get those edges. And then I want kind of a lighter pathway coming up to the front porch. So I'm going to bring in my dark over here. And now with that dark, I'm going to pick up some coffee latte. And let's get a little bit of white with that. There we go. Come under the steps there. And loosely sweep that in. Very loose. A little more coffee latte, which is kind of a light tan. All right, and then pick up your burnt umber again and bring those two colors together here on this side. And get the foreground or the front of the canvas. Get a little bit of medium and come over here and work those two colors together too. So you need kind of both the coffee latte and the burnt umber on there again, like I had on the other side. Get a little more of that white in here. A little more tan. And you can just kind of sweep that out into that dark area and finish up with the burnt umber here. There we go. All right, so looking good and properly spooky, unkempt, I think. And let's get just a little bit of the burnt umber come right in front of the step here, just so it's a little darker there. A little more. There we go. All right. Okay. So we'll let that kind of set. You'll notice that's very roughed in, which is perfectly fine and in keeping with the look we're going for here. And before I get too far, because I was afraid I would forget to do this, I want to add some stars up in the sky. So I've got a toothbrush here. I'm going to pick up some water, and we can come right in here with our white. Right. And then all you're going to do is take a fingernail, or you can use a little bit thicker white. You can use a palette knife or something like that, but you're going to flick towards you. Get some stars out there, okay? All right, now I did get a few that were a little too big, but I think they'll be fine. Okay, so now we're going to work on this moon back here. So I'm going to get my 16 flat and get that damp. And we're going to start with primarily a white and yellow ochre mix here. And then we can lighten it up with strong white and add texture with strong yellow ochre. All right, so we're just going to come right along the edge of the house. There. All the way around, found the curve of the moon. And it comes under this eave right here. Okay. Right, and that's all the moon that you see. Now that's based in, and then what we want to do is let's wipe off that brush and come and get white, and we can slip slap white with the corner of the brush, create some texture in that moon surface. Come over here. Then you can get on the other corners some strong yellow ochre, and you can slip slap that corner, get some darker texture on this moon surface. So that's kind of fun. Okay, I think I got a little carried away with the white over here, so let's just bring back in some of that ochre, and we'll kind of smooth that out a little bit right there. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. You get the idea that that's a moon back there. All right, clean that brush. And we're going to go ahead and base coat our house now. So our house is going to be primarily a blue shade that we are then going to darken with shading with black. Okay, so a little bit different variety of blue. This is called Skyline. It's like a blue gray. So I'm going to get medium in my brush. This is a 16 flat. We're going to pick up that Skyline. And we're going to come right in. We're just doing the walls with this. Okay, so this is all we're doing is base coating all these walls, not the roof. The roof is going to be, no, I'm sorry. We're going to do the roof as well. Pardon me. So let's come up here. It's just the windows that we're not going to. So I'm going to go ahead and base coat this whole house in with Skyline. And I'll just keep working on that and we'll be right back. Okay, so I finished base coating in the house, right? I left the windows and the door and the steps to be done in a different color. And I just wanted to point a few things out to you, right? So I did, this one was really dark. And then back here, I made really dark. And then this part here, I made lighter with some medium, right? So this is going to be a heavier tone to it. These are going to have a little bit lighter. It's going to help differentiate the different parts of the building so that you see them all. We're going to do some shading now that's going to help with that as well. So with that same brush, I've got still loaded my 16 flat. And I'm going to come over here. Let's get a little more of that. Let's get some medium. And we're going to side stroke some licorice on that same loaded brush. Okay. So licorice is a really strong black color. So you don't need a lot of it. And you want to work that into the brush with the blue already in it. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is first, let's come up underneath the eave of the roof on this house, and you're going to float. So we're coming in, floating around and under that eave, right? We want to make that pretty dark up there. Make it nice and smooth with pressure on the flat of the brush. All right, and then coming around here, so we came through here, and then we're going to come along that side and just kind of make a curved triangle area so it gets a little darker right up in there. See that? All right. Then you can come down along this side. Well, let's come from the bottom. So I'm going to get some more of that color on my brush, a little more medium. And we're going to come up from here. We're going to outline, come in, and then up. And you can kind of make this a little bumpy if you want to. And come right up to where we go under that eave. All right, so you get that whole thing outlined with that darker color. All right, a little more medium, get more of that color. You'll notice I'm not digging more into the black because I've got plenty of black on my brush. All right, so let's turn this way, and we will come right here in between. Angle it a little so you can get around that window, and then you can flatten it back out. Right, and come around that eave and up here. And we'll bring that all the way around. So that's kind of outlined this tower. And then you can work a little more of that black into the right side, around the window, and then around the bottom. Okay. And let's bring a little more of this out here. Pick up more of that medium. All right, so now what we want to do is let's come under this eave of the roof as it goes around right there. And then we'll come up here to the top. And this is a little bumpy too, so give a little jagged move as you come down to that edge. Okay. And then I want to kind of work in that black coming, because this is the side of the house where the moon's not touching, right? So it's going to be a little bit darker right in here. And then you come along that edge right there. All right, and then we can add some shingles. So we want to come down here at the bottom, do a little wiggle, 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 creating the edges of these shingles on this tower, right? And get a little more of that black. And you're just giving the impression, so you don't have to go over the entire exact area of the roof. You just want to do a few here, a few there, work your way up, and right there at the top. Right, so it just gives it the look that there's some shingles. Let's come right in here and we will darken inside that curve as it goes around, and then pull that back down. Okay, so that's the process. We're going to go the rest of the house this way. All right, so let's start from the back. We'll come along this roof right here, turn it this way. And then right back in here, you can kind of darken it in with a little bit of that black just on the corner of the brush. Follow that roof line, and then again, little bits of shingles with the corner of the brush. And then finish it over here. Go up to this curved up. And then chisel down that right side. Just continuing to pick up those same colors as I have. And we want to come around the chimney. And then under this eave, right there, pull that down. And then we have this little window that crops out here. So we want to, let's go underneath that, up the side, down the roof line. Okay, so just being fairly loose with this. We can come underneath here now. Although you may want to use a smaller brush. Depends on your brush control. If you don't do well with a big brush in small places, like I can tip to my edge here, then switch to a smaller brush to get up in here. But I'm going to keep on going with this one. All right, so we get underneath that eave. Maybe underneath the window a little bit. Just give it a kind of a weathered look, right? So let some of that black come over that face. And then to finish this roof off, we're going to come here, just like we did over there, and create these little bits of shingles, layering as we go up, there, okay? So just some fun little impression. Now you can take the corner with the black right here and get that eave as it goes around the back of the house. All right, more of this black, and we can come up to our roof. Actually, this should not be this color, so let's not do that. We'll come right here to our chimney. There. Come along. Now this is a chimney, so it's going to get kind of sooty and dirty. So it can be a little darker. Right in there. And I got that all over my brush, so I'm going to wipe that off on paper towel and go back to my load. Come along this side. Chisel edge down this way. Flat down that side. Right, and then you can reverse the brush down in here and darken. Pull that up. Okay. And get some more medium on my brush. Keep side loading. I'm not picking up any more of that blue. I'm just side loading in the area that I've got going here. So now let's finish up this part of the house. We'll come under this eave and along this edge. Come out and down. And let's make this area pretty dark right in here, because that's going to have shrubs and stuff growing up in front of it anyways. So under the window, maybe down one side. Let's go under these windows as well. We'll come this way. Bringing some of this black over to create with just a slight downward turn will give that illusion of this being a rounded building right here. Okay. And then we'll keep on with this. So let's come under this eave right here, all the way up. And you know what? I'm going to wipe off a lot of this blue paint, because on this one I don't want to bring that up in color. So I'm just going to wipe that off and then just side stroke the black only. There. And come under and chisel edge down this side. So it's more of a shadow here. It's thinner here. Over here, we're going to go really dark. And let's turn it this way so I can come at it from this direction. Get that corner and come back up under this eave. All right, now more medium, side stroke that black. And we'll finish the face of the house first, and we'll address the roof. So let's go around the door. Go under the window. Okay, so the roof on this, right, we're going to have little shingles that come down and overlap, going up, and a little peak right here. And then on this side, we'll do like we did over here. So we'll come along the bottom first. And then we can do little bits of them going up. Just to give the impression of the shingles without doing every single one, okay? All right, so that base is our whole house. And we're ready to do all the fun decorations. So let's finish the windows. Let's get a 10 flat will work. Get that damp, and I'm going to put out a little bit of daffodil yellow. And a little pure orange. Okay. So first thing I want to do is we're just going to pick up the daffodil yellow and some white, right? Because yellow can be a transparent color. We want to make that a little more opaque. We add a little bit of white. All right, and we're going to come right in here first. Base that in. And then I'll do all the windows that way, then we'll add the orange. Okay, so orange is our glow. A little bit of white, daffodil. Okay, right here in the door. All right, so now what we want to do is with that same brush, we can come and side stroke. Let's come at it from this point. A little bit of this pure orange. And we're going to add a kind of float that along the top of the windows at an angle. Okay. So you can put a little more of that white and daffodil if you need to keep the color blend looking the same, but you're side stroking that orange, and then we're going along at an angle in each window. Now, when you get to the middle of the window, or the middle window, I should say, that's your dividing line. So the ones on this side, you're going to put the angle to the right. These were to the left, right? Make that one a little more obvious. Okay. So in these, you're going to come to this direction. See, angled that way, angled this way. So there we go. All right, so that lends a little bit to the spookiness, I guess, of it. We'll put a little in the door windows as well, just on the top. All right, clean that brush. And we can come to, let's get a 2 flat. Small brush, and we're going to get burnt umber. All right, and we're going to go around each of these windows. Okay. Now I feel like that doesn't look all that great. Let's just go with the black. Let's do Licorice. Stay with our, I don't think the brown goes well with the blue like I had thought. So let's just do Licorice. And the Licorice will cover up any overrun sins I might have committed. And again, we're not going for perfect, so if they're a little wonky or wobbly or whatever, that's fine. It just kind of lends to the dilapidated look of our haunted house. And disrepair. All right, so finish this one. Okay. And so I think our door is going to be black too, but I'm going to use a bigger brush for that. But I do want to get on the chisel on this brush, and we can put in little mullions, and I actually put like a little roundedness to them so that they're not perfect. So a little there. Okay. All right, so I think that's starting to take on a little more of a spooky flair to it. And another thing you can do, let's get a little medium with this black, is you can go around now and just kind of spook it up a little bit. We'll add a little more dark, some kind of jagged marks on the walls. Okay, yeah, I think that looks good. Darken it up down here. Kind of clean off the brush on it. Okay, all right, so now let's get a bigger brush. Let's go back to our 10 flat, and we'll get Licorice on this. And we'll do the outline of the door. And then I think I'll do the door in blue to to match the house. Okay, and then with the steps, I'm going to side stroke a little white with that black. Gets me a little bit of a gray. We can come right across the top step here. Come down. On the edge. Now on the face of these, I want it a little bit lighter. No, excuse me, on the step of these, I want it a little bit lighter. So that top step I did that way, and then this step I'll do that way also. Right, so you got that lighter edge on it. Get a little more white on this. There we go. And there we go. Then you can wipe that white off, come back to the more of a black, and just pull that down. That's the rise of the step. There. Let's get a little bit, touch of white. Yeah, go along those edges. There we go. So our front step. And then we're going to come in and get this blue again. And I'm going to just go ahead and side stroke the white, or excuse me, the black with the blue on the brush. And we can come right in here. Let's get a little more blue. There we go. Blacks to the outside of the door, blues to the inside. Yeah, I like that. All right, and then we can come back to our 2 flat with the black with licorice, and we'll go around our windows here. There we go. Now our door needs a little handle on it as well. So right here, I'm going to do a little touch and then push. So I create a little point like that. And then on the bottom, I'm going to push, turn, and lift. A little point on the bottom that matches. And then you go from here, chisel with pressure, a little curve, and come from the top to the bottom. And that creates a little handle on the door. Get a little bit of white there, there, and there. Ah, I like that. And then you can take the side stroke on that brush, just a little bit of white, and you can go around the edges of each of the windows. Let's get a little bit of medium with that so it doesn't dry out. give a little highlight on those windows. I think that'll wake them up just a little. Okay. All right, there's our house. That looks really good. Okay, guys, so at this point, I'm going to stop, and we are going to come back next week, and we will add all the fun little spooky designs that are going to go around this and make this an amazing Halloween haunted house. Until that time, I hope you take care and come back and see me next week. Bye-bye.